I'll never forget the sound that woke me that morning, a crash sharp enough to rattle my bones, even though technically it wasn't my window breaking. That would have been almost normal compared to what actually happened. You ever have one of those moments where you step outside still in your slippers and instantly realize the world's gone sideways? That was me standing on my lawn jaw, slack, staring at Karen, my self-appointed neighborhood dictator clutching a hammer like she was about to win the gold for property damage in the Petty Olympics. At her feet, my satellite dish. Correction, my government-issued emergency receiver wires still twitching like they were in shock. She looked up at me. God, that face, the one people wear when they're about to tell you they did you a favor you never asked for. There, she said, brushing imaginary dust from her hands, that ugly thing is finally gone. You're welcome. And I know what you might be thinking, was I really that attached to some old satellite dish? But this wasn't just TV. This was part of a federal contract, my past in communications coming back to haunt me. The dish was hooked into a quiet network, the kind that only lights up if something truly bad is happening. So thanks to Karen, the Department of Homeland Security just lost a direct line. All because she didn't like how it messed with her curb appeal. I didn't yell, didn't stomp my feet, I just stood there. Sometimes silence works better than screaming, you know. Karen took it as weakness. You'll thank me later, she said, actually stepping over the broken dish like she was walking away from a mess someone else made. The HOA's been trying to get rid of that thing for months. You ignored the letters, so I handled it. What she didn't know, what I'd already suspected, was that as soon as she'd swung that hammer, two things had happened. One, an alert ping straight to the emergency line. And two, my security cameras, yeah, mine, not the HOA's, caught every single second of her little performance in 4K. I must have smirked or something because suddenly she started sputtering, looking for a way out. Don't give me that look. The HOA has rules. No unsightly equipment. You should have complied, Karen. I said, my voice steady, like I'd practiced it. That wasn't just a dish. That was a federal receiver. You know what that means? Her bravado flickered just for a split second, but she wasn't one to back down. Oh, don't start with the scary stories. I'll explain it to the board. You'll get fined for refusing to remove it. End of story. You could almost see her puffing up. Sure, this was just another power play, like arguing over mailbox colors or the height of your grass. But this time, she just smashed a hole in the law, not my landscaping. She stalked off, muttering about billing me for the mess, and I let her go. Snapped a photo for my own records. Walked back inside, heart pounding, already knowing my phone would ring. When it did, I answered. This is the emergency communications office. We detected a disruption. Confirmed status. I looked out the window. Karen was still out there basking like she'd saved the world. Status is a civilian with a hammer decided she outranked the federal government. There was a pause. We'll be sending someone. Stay on site. And that, my friend, was when I realized Karen's morning crusade was about to blow up in her face. She thought this was about HOA bylaws, maybe a slap on the wrist. She had no idea what was coming. By the time a black SUV showed up, Karen had already paraded across the street twice, once to scold me for ignoring rules, and again to snap pictures of her own handiwork, narrating her heroics loud enough for the whole block. That dish was dangerous against code. As HOA president, I had to act. She wasn't talking to anyone, really, just making sure her voice filled the air. She didn't notice the SUV's government plates, or the two men who stepped out, dark suits, unreadable faces, the kind of guys who don't have to yell to make you sweat. They walked right past Karen, who bounced in their path, chirping, "Are you here for HOA enforcement?" The tall one barely looked at her, heading straight for me. "Mr. Hale?" he asked. I nodded. Status unchanged. Civilian destroyed the receiver at 8 a.m. Karen's head whipped around, smile dropping off her face. "Civilian, excuse me, I'm the HOA president." The shorter agent scrolled through a tablet. "You confirm she did this?" "3 cameras, all angles," I said. "Want the footage now or after you inspect the wreckage?" Karen's voice hit a higher pitch. "This is ridiculous. It was just a dish. Those things aren't allowed anyway." The tall agent turned, voice even. "Ma'am, that was not a consumer satellite. It was a federally commissioned receiver linked to DHS channels. Destruction of government property under Title 18, Section 1361. That's a felony." And for the first time, Karen's confidence cracked. I didn't know. It looked ugly. Nobody told me it was important." The shorter one, still polite but cold, pointed out the obvious. "It's labeled ma'am. Federal serial plates, warning stickers. You ignored them." Karen scoffed. Oh, please, anyone can buy a sticker off the internet. You can't just slap a label on and call it government. I nearly laughed. The agents didn't. One of them scanned the shattered parts device, chirping. Confirmed. Registered now, inoperable. Karen blanched. You can't expect me to know all this. This is ridiculous. The tall one opened a notebook. Name. Excuse me, this is private property. You can't. I'll call my lawyer. That was when I knew this was out of HOA territory. Lawyers don't mean much when federal law is involved. The agent didn't blink. Ma'am, this is a federal matter. We require identification for the incident report. Neighbors were watching now. Not running to Karen's rescue, just watching. Curtains twitching, folks suddenly very interested in watering their lawns. She folded her arms, face flushed. This is absurd. He's just a cranky homeowner. I was protecting the community. I kept my tone soft. Karen today wasn't about the HOA. You broke federal law. I don't think the board's cookie committee can get you out of this one. The tall agent suppressed a smirk. We'll need you to answer some questions. That receiver you destroyed was tied to emergency alerts. Disruption could put lives at risk. Karen tried to retake the stage. Well, maybe if someone had followed the HOA rules, I wouldn't have had to act, but I couldn't help it. Don't worry, Karen. I'll send your lawyer the footage. In 4K, multiple angles. One of the agents almost laughed. Almost. After they led her away, my phone buzzed again. Another clipped voice. We'll send replacement equipment. Your site's offline until then. We'll need your statement. And as I looked out over the neighborhood, whispering, buzzing, I realized Karen's biggest mistake wasn't smashing that dish. It was thinking she was untouchable. By noon, the whole street was electric. Karen was interrogated for 2 hours. She came out red-faced, hair frizzed, marching across her lawn like a dethroned queen. The neighborhood was a stage now, folks lingering at mailboxes, dogs getting 3 walks in a row. Karen, who'd ruled with warning letters and clipped notes about fence height, was now the main act, and everyone had a front row seat. She saw me on my porch, coffee in hand. For a second, she looked scared. Then came the old Karen. You need to call them off, she hissed. Who, I asked, playing dumb? The feds. They're harassing me. This is a misunderstanding. We can fix this without dragging the whole neighborhood into it. I shook my head. Karen, you dragged the neighborhood into it the minute you smashed a federal dish in broad daylight. She glared at the eavesdropping neighbors. Lower your voice. The HOA will not stand behind you. I shrugged. Good. 'Cause I won't need them to. But you might. Don't get cocky, she snapped. I still have power here. Not as much as you think, I said. You didn't just break a rule. You tore a hole in a system that doesn't care about your title. This one comes with prison time. That got to her. She stormed off, muttering about government drama. But the tide had turned. That afternoon, the board called an emergency meeting. Usually these were Karen's one-woman shows, her talking, others half listening. Not this time. Every seat was full, people brought snacks, some even recorded the whole thing. Karen tried to take control. The situation has been blown out of proportion. I acted for the community. I expect full support. But this time, Greg, who never spoke, asked Karen, did you really destroy government property? It wasn't she lied, it was unsightly, not approved. A voice from the back, Margaret, one of her old allies. If this is federal, the HOA could be liable for letting you act for us. Karen went pale. No, this was just me. Then you abused your position, Margaret snapped. Either way, you put us all at risk. And the room erupted. People brought up her old threats, her endless fines, her obsession with mailbox paint. Greg said what everyone was thinking. This isn't about the dish. It's about whether you should lead. Karen looked around, desperate. No one met her eye. She stormed out. The board sat in silence for a moment, then someone whispered, we should vote. I didn't need to stay. The outcome was obvious. That night as the sun set, Karen showed up on my porch, shaking, furious, desperate. You don't understand what this will do to me. My reputation, my standing, gone. I tried to be gentle. It's not the dish, Karen. It's the hammer in your hand, the cameras, the agents. They saw everything. She gripped the rail. I'll fight this. I'll bury you in legal fees. You'll do nothing but wait for the fallout. And the longer you pretend you're in control, the worse it's going to get. She had no answer. She turned and slammed her door. And I realized she wasn't fighting me. She was fighting gravity, slipping with every grasp. The next morning, Karen's downfall was local legend. People whispered like it was the stock market. The board had voted her out. Greg, the quiet one, told me himself. She's out. After 23 years, she's finally gone. He almost giggled. I warned him, careful, Karen doesn't do gone, she does revenge. Not 3 hours later, there she was, clipboard in hand, knocking on doors, whispering to anyone who'd listen. But the old magic was gone. Folks shut their doors, sipped their coffee, shook their heads. She needed power like air, but the neighborhood had moved on. Around lunchtime, another federal call. Your replacement equipment arrives in 72 hours. The civilian is now under review for criminal charges. That evening, Karen tried her boldest move. She stood on my lawn shouting, "He's lying. That wasn't government property. He's playing all of you." I stepped out, leaned on the rail. "Want to watch the footage?" Karen garage, big screen popcorn. The crowd snickered. Karen flushed, screaming, "This is slander. You're destroying my life." "Correction," I said, "you're destroying your life with your hammer. I'm just the guy with the cameras." She lunged, panicked. But the black SUV rolled in, agents stepping out stone-faced. "Ma'am, you are hereby issued a federal notice. Until further notice, you are not to approach this property." She gaped, sputtered, "You can't ban me. This is my neighborhood." "This is a federal matter," the agent said. "Continued interference may result in immediate arrest." Neighbors filmed. Karen, the terror of the block, was now the main event. Her voice broke. "I was protecting the community." I raised my mug. "Cheers, Karen." The agents didn't laugh, but the crowd did. She dropped her clipboard, hands shaking, and ran. Not the usual stomp, but a real run, like she finally knew no one was scared anymore. That night, texts poured in, people thanking me, offering to be witnesses, but I knew Karen wasn't done. Around midnight, I saw her silhouette pacing, voice low in frantic lawyer retaliation, ruined. And all I could think was she's sinking herself deeper with every step. Day 5, the whispers were a roar. Videos of Karen's hammer stunt went viral, memes, gifs, you name it. She was famous in the worst way. The real kicker, I hadn't posted a thing. The neighborhood was doing it for me. That morning, a federal investigator came by, different from the other agents. We went through everything. He barely blinked as I laid out the footage, the letters, the timeline. When we were done, he said, "She'll face charges. High odds the U.S. attorney makes an example." Outside, Karen appeared, her lawyer in tow. She pointed at me, voice shrill. "There he is, slandering me. I demand he cease and desist." Her lawyer, sweating, cleared his throat. "We request you stop slandering my client. We're prepared to take action." The investigator cut him off, badge flashing. "Sir, your client is under federal investigation. Any lawsuit is dead in the water." The lawyer paled, mumbled about federal jurisdiction, and walked off. Karen screamed after him, but he didn't look back. The investigator told her, "Ma'am, you've been advised, stay off this property or you will be arrested." She stood there, fists clenched, all her authority gone. "You'll regret this. The whole neighborhood will regret betraying me." The neighbors watched, some smiling, a few clapping. Karen saw broke and ran inside, slamming the door so hard my windows rattled. "She'll be charged within the week," the investigator said. "Destruction of government property, interference with emergency communications, maybe obstruction." I couldn't help myself. Behavior's not her strong suit. He cracked a faint smile, then left. The neighborhood went oddly quiet until night fell and my phone buzzed again. "Receiver is operational. You are back online." I stepped outside. The new dish shone under the porch light, sleek, reinforced, untouchable, like a trophy. Across the street, Karen's blinds twitched. She was still watching, but she had no power left. Later, the neighbors gathered in my driveway. Someone set up a projector, and we played the footage. Every angle, every moment. The laughter that night wasn't mean. It was relief, like someone finally opened a window. Karen's reign ended not with a bang, but with a laugh. That right there was real justice, not the charges, not the feds, not even the viral videos. It was watching a community breathe, finally free from her shadow. She thought her hammer would fix things. All it did was tear her world apart. So let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have let karma do the heavy lifting? Or would you have fought back louder, messier? Where do you draw the line between standing your ground and letting the system work? I'd love to hear what you'd do, or if you've ever had a Karen of your own. Go on, tell me, how'd you handle it?